And we may be that heroic, larger-than-life guy that they look up to. And are we imparting some high morals, some high standards, some backbone into their life that shows them what a man is meant to be? Better men choosing to be the hero of your individual life. This is the Better Man channel, where our mission is to equip men with the tools necessary to overcome the enemies of life, to reclaim our sovereignty, and to prevail and reach our potential. Earlier, I was reading this article and ran across a quote from Edmund Burke that said, "The only thing necessary for evil to triumph is for good men to do nothing." And it got me thinking about not only the individual man's part throughout history, but man's part in today's current state of affairs. What are we doing that will help society progress? What are we doing that will help not only ourselves, but our family, our communities withstand the demise of culture with the current state of political correctness, the current state of all these isms that are coming against not only men, but society as a whole? And I started thinking, what is required of a man to be a man? And then I started thinking of these heroic qualities that we all admire in those great men, or hell, even the heroes of comic books. And I started thinking that being a hero and being a man is synonymous. They go together. And in order to begin to see a resurgence of goodness in not only our lives, but society's lives, it is vital that we consolidate those two together and we begin realizing what it truly means to be a man. Being a man is being a hero. Being a hero is just as much part of being a man. The capabilities that we have to advance, to thrive, to survive. A man is a hero. Being a hero is just as much part of being a man. And we see a recession of morals in society today. And in return, this facilitates the decline of morale in our society. The overall morale is declining. It's hard to imagine a better life. It's hard to imagine people becoming better. It's hard to imagine better when worse is constantly berating us. Worse is always at the door knocking. And so we need heroic men to be men, because for the most part, society is going to lay down. They're just going to surrender and allow evil to triumph because good men are choosing to be inactive. And there's always going to be justifiable reasons to say, hey, it's not my responsibility to get involved. It is not for me. But at the end of the day, that's inaction, and that's not part of being a man. That's not part of being a hero. We see the plights that are against not only individual, but we see the plights of man. We see the oppression of man. We see the oppression of society, because when man is affected, culture overall is affected. And so as a man with the capability to be a heroic man, it's time that we stand up. Whether we have thought about it or whether we've realized it, we create these ripples. We are examples. Men are the examples of society. And it does require a higher standard. It does require a higher honor code. It requires higher characteristics. It's a high calling to be a man. And many people are going to scoff away at that, whatever. But true men, true heroic men, they accept that. They accept that privilege that requires them to meet a higher standard. And I like to see it as man, a heroic man, a man that's taking action, being like the center of the universe, like the sun, which all these planets revolve around and depend upon for light and heat and warmth and all other dependencies. We as men have this effect that other people are watching us. Right? They're watching us as examples. They're watching us to see what we're going to do, how we're going to behave, how we're going to respond, how we're going to react. We have these people that are watching us in our lives that For a lot of those are the only examples of men that they're ever going to see. And as a child, man, I had these heroes in my man, whether they were athletes or an uncle or a coach. I had a few of those in my life that I thought were larger than life, man. I just looked up to them. And yes, they had their flaws and their imperfections, but I looked at them and they gave me some meaning to what a man was. And we have those same people looking at our lives, whether it's our own kids or a nephew or just a child that we run across at the apartment complex a few times a day, or a kid at the store. We may be the only man in their life. And we may be that heroic, larger than life guy that they look up to. And are we imparting some high morals, some high standards, some backbone into their life that shows them what a man is meant to be? The demise of society, it's not a new thing. There's always been evil, and there's always been things opposed to order. There's always been some chaos. It's nothing new. But we see some evil trying to prevail in our current states, in our current individual lives. There's always going to be some infliction trying to be put upon us. And in overall society, there's always going to be some evil trying to combat us and triumph. What are we doing? Are we being inactive and just pointing fingers and throwing our hands in the air? Are we donning the cape of hero, donning the cape of man, and becoming the potential that society needs to see in us? We are the individual center of our universe that has this ripple effect that impacts those around us. There's young men in our life. There's young people in our lives. There's a community, a society watching us. What are we as men with the capacity to be heroes doing? I love you guys. You'll hear from me next video.